And we're live.
Can we ask chat who is the better background just like off the bat? Because yours looks like good, but mine is obscuring a 10.
Yeah. Interesting enough. I mean, I guess it makes sense that we both have our favorites up.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just edit a 10 onto Steins Gate real quick. So if someone's like, what is the best anime? I'll just duck and be like, well,
Well, it's
I
right.
might have
It's
some
right
ideas.
behind me. Just let me go this way.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So this will be interesting. This is our on the fly episode. Well,
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
It's a little on the fly. I have some thoughts.
So we got Onimaro with the facts, got Ava in the background, and then Dakos says walking W background. So thank you. We got some best anime appreciators in the chat, as expected of the Just Weebies. I need to find a name for our fans besides Just Weebs.
We're all just weeps though.
We're all just Weebs.
I don't know. It's kind of tough.
The Weeboomfies or something.
Didn't we like come up with something?
We did. I think we did. This is definitely not the first time we've had this conversation.
Can we all just like be Weeaboomers and just agree
the Weeaboomers?
Yeah.
I think we also have the full-time anime enjoyers. That's down the pipeline for our inevitable merch launch.
What if we're all just day one haters?
Yeah, full-time haters. Well, I think we're like part-time enjoyers, full-time enjoyers. And then we could be full-time haters and part-time haters.
How's everyone doing? How's the chat? How's
everyone's week and weekend?
And how's our audio? I always have to ask this just to make sure.
Don't talk about yourself, but talk about our audio real quick.
Yeah. Just like let us know how you're doing, but also, how's the audio?
I want to make. Damn, this is looking bad. Unrelated, but if this could be a good audio check. So I'm in my fantasy football league with. I call it the Weeb Fantasy Football League. So some usual faces of some friends of the pod are in this league, including, Fate Steel Taylor, Replay Value, Under the Scope, other people who we will hopefully have on the pod in the future. We'll see. So I am playing Replay Value this week, and it's not looking good for my team. So I just wanted to say that. But what the cool part is that everyone has Weeb-themed names that match a football player.
Okay.
So we have some very good names in here, but in light of our most recent Legend of the Galactic Hero podcast, how do you say the Japanese name before I start butchering things?
Ginga Au Densetsu.
Densetsu. Okay, so one of the teams named after a player named Dobbs or Dobes. It's a Ginga Au Dobetsu. So
okay,
that's
actually appropriate.
It's a very good pun. If people are interested in other puns, I will reveal them because these puns are too good for people to miss. Mine is not that creative, but it's fitting. So I have, for the football fans out there, if we have any, I have Alvin Kamara. He's a running back for the New Orleans Saints. So he's like their best player. So I got the Kamara Ant King is my team name. So
okay,
yeah,
that's good.
So, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you guys been is this the same fantasy football? Like you guys have been doing this for 2 years now?
Yeah, this is the second year.
Second year, because I know you were doing it last year, and now it's like been a whole year.
Yeah, and I miraculously won last year.
Are you gonna do it again? Are you gonna?
I don't know.
Come in,
the funny part. So it's really funny to me because my team was like not that good, and I had a 7-7 record, and I made the playoffs, but I won the whole thing with a 7-7 record. So I was just like, every week I'm like expecting to lose, and then people were like, Shaw's gonna win, and I'm like, stop making fun of me. Like I know my team's not that good, and then I won somehow, mostly because someone's player the number one seed, their top player got injured, and like, so I won by like pure luck. But this year I'm projected to have another 7-7 season, so
Okay.
it might be a victory run.
You might take it away. You might be like win like 2 years in a row, and then you're just like the reigning champ, like every year, just defending your title.
That would be really funny. Also, just because I got to name the league, and I got to name it after Umineko, and no one else has read Umineko, so I'm just being like a genuine asshole, like forcing everyone to recognize like visual novels.
What I like, even though you
like
haven't
my
experienced
things,
it.
like my PowerPoints.
Just like it blindly. Just trust me on it. It's good. That's it.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, that's actually like my stuff is the best transition into today's topic.
Like our stuff.
Like our stuff.
So speaking of liking stuff, yeah, let's get into it. Hold on, let me find the thingy. Where is it? Where is it? Everyone's like, what is he talking about? It's this. This is a stream, and we are just weebs. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all the pod.
That's the pod.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining us live again this week, guys. This is Just Weebs. I'm Onimaru here with Shocking, and this week it's not a filler week. We actually have a topic. We are doing it a little on the fly, but we are talking about we're defining what best anime is. What is best anime? That term is always thrown around the community. This is the best anime, that's the best anime, and I'm not talking specifically about like, okay, name an anime and okay, that's the best anime. It's like what is the term, like, you know, how do you decide what best anime is? And I don't think in all this time that we've ever reached like a universal consensus as to how to define that. So do you even think it's possible, Shah?
Just go to my favorites list and see what's up.
And that's it.
That's it. That's the pod again. No, I mean, I think this is one of those those questions that everyone has an answer to, but they might not all have the same answer to. But I think there are enough people who have a similar answer. The answer being what makes something the best anime. That makes it something that. And it makes it an interesting conversation, because I think you essentially have the two school of thoughts, you know, the two big teams, and it's the enjoyment team of whatever I enjoy watching the most and have the most fun watching, that's the best. Plain and simple, the most fun equals the best. And I respect a lot of that line of thinking and feeling. So I totally respect that point of view. And to a certain degree, I also agree. Then you have the other side, which is focusing on, you know, what they try and consider, I'm using air quotes, objectively good series. And by that, they mean good writing, good production, good, you know, every single element of the series is achieving as high as it can be. Like it's full functioning, no plot holes, the no flaws crew. And that's something that they feel like justifies something being the best, even if they might admittedly not enjoy watching it as much. They feel like they can kind of defend it as being the best because the qualities of that series are the best. Yeah, and to a certain degree, I agree with that too. I think there's truth on both sides, but I think if you like follow your gut, you're probably going to be like, well, the stuff I like the most is the best.
Yeah, and I think their argument too there is like they enjoy its lack of flaws. So in a sense, they're getting enjoyment out of it. It's like, okay, not a lot of flaws. This is great. This is like peak artistic, you know, value. Yeah. But I also like bring it up too, because I know like we've actually like brought it up like separate times and like its own dedicated pods, or just as part of different conversations when we like rated people's Mao lists. When we even talked with Joe, like Pause and Select, for that one like really early pod about like where we talked about like, you know, people feeling like ashamed to like certain anime and like, you know, because they thought it was like trash or they can't like something. So we've tackled it there. We've talked about it and like, you know, enjoying anime is okay, having like your favorite anime should be like a representation of what you think is best, and having your own scoring system.
Yeah.
But like, I just like bring it up too because I wanted to know if like, because it's one thing, like I think it's definitely important to have your system like, and deciding how like an anime, like how you would rank your own best anime. But I'm also speaking more broadly too, like is there a way to reach a consensus universally for the community where like we can point to these and be like, okay, we're cool with these
Mhm.
being like representative of, like we could say like this is the best, the medium like
Yeah.
from our community that like has been like, we can point to this and be like, these are the best, not my
Yeah.
favorites, but these are the best. And is Mal the top 100 a good representation of that? Is that a good system?
Yeah, I mean, after we finished Legend of the Galactic Heroes recently, I'm actually kind of like 3 or 4 series away from having the Mal top 100 completely watched.
That's
I think
insane.
that's yeah. Actually, it's not like that's not a flex. That's like a seek help kind of like
Yeah.
admission.
uh
That's a touch grass kind of lead in. But no, I mean, so I think the Mal Top 100 is very interesting in various different ways. But to your original point of like, can we come to a consensus on what we might not have as our top one, but we think is a good representative of the medium? That's a good way of like looking at it that I agree with, because I've always found, it is one of my favorites, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That is, it's been consistently the top of Mal for a while, even though they have it fluctuates a bit, especially if a new series or a new sequel to a very popular series comes out, and then like it gets the top spot, and then you have people bitching over like people are
Yep.
rating it ones to like bring it below Mal, whatever. There's a lot of fluctuation, but consistently a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood has been at the top of the list for my anime list. And people have their opinions on it, whatever. I think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, no matter anyone's individual opinion on it, and it's very easy for me to say as someone who feels favorably on it, so I recognize I'm biased, but I think it's a good representative of anime as a medium. Like, if I'm holding a hypothetical Olympics for every medium out there, and I want the anime representative to say, like, here are the strengths of the medium, I'm going to go with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And I think even if people don't come away with it and give it a 10 or find it the best of the medium, I think they get a good understanding of what makes anime a very compelling medium for so many people.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a good point. So, because like Full Metal Alchemist has been like top one for a long time for a reason. Dropped a little bit with
Yeah.
Kaguya season 3, but now it's
Yeah.
back up there. And it's like safe to recommend because again, there's nothing like too much in it that like you would have to asterisk or be like, hey,
Yeah.
don't watch this because of that. So that does make it a good representative of that. But I guess like I'm also like trying to think of like people who see like these top 100 lists and see like that their favorite anime doesn't fall anywhere in there, so
Yeah.
it makes them question like their own taste. And I guess like, is it just representative? I guess it's fair to say that if like the majority of people, for example, find Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood like to that they think highly of it, is that fair enough to say, okay, then this meets this objective measure to that extent?
I mean, I think it's fair to say that like it's consistently rated as one of, if not the best. And I think that's like a good way of phrasing it, is like it is consistently rated as one of the best. That doesn't mean everyone thinks it's the best. That doesn't mean it's objectively good or it's objectively the best. It just means that if you pull the opinions of a large group of people and ask them like what's the best anime, a large majority of them will include Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in their answer. And there's both power in finding a consensus like that, and then there's also like the other side where it's not really it's not super accurate. There's two sides of it. But I think if you're someone who, if like people recommend you something and you generally like their recommendations, I think there's a lot of power in that. there's also power in the other side where, like, your taste does not align with the mainstream consensus of good. So if a lot of people recommend something, it's totally fair to be like, you guys recommend a lot of this stuff is good. I've not found this good, so I'm going to stay away from it. It works both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. Got someone in the chat saying, I've never actually met anyone that actually likes Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Huh.
Nice to meet you.
There you go.
Yeah. I've never met anyone that doesn't dislike Full Metal Alchemist, but I guess.
Yeah, I don't
we see
dislike it. So there you go.
A meeting of the minds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. It's good.
I like this comment from Amethyst saying, I only have it as an 8, but I still think it's the best just because it hits so many things so well with a low barrier to entry and low warning signs. And that's like, I think we agree with that sentiment. Like, there's a lot it does. Yeah.
What do you think of this then? I guess that's a good jumping off point to ask. Like, if someone's favorite anime, right?
Yeah.
They think it's like, they know like this anime in particular is their favorite, but they acknowledge in their mind, it's not technically the best. And they know that there are some anime that are technically on a technical level better than their favorite. Do you think that's okay? Like, to acknowledge that the best anime on a technical level isn't, your favorite?
I can understand that line of thought, but I'm going to call them a coward instead, because to switch gears a bit, I think that everyone, if someone believes that something they like the most and they recognize other series do other things better, but there's still something about their favorite that puts it above the others, I think they should have enough confidence and, self-love to recognize that like that element is so much more important to them that they value it over the other technical elements that other people might value, So I'm going to use my best. It's, got Steins Gate in the background. I'm going to use that one as an example. I am in complete understanding that Steins Gate does not have the best animation in the medium. Like, if you show me Neon Genesis Evangelion scenes, got like Mob Psycho, those are series that have better animation quality, or at least like they have a lot more attention to animation detail, like more fluid animation, more ambitious animation. But when I see those series and I'm like, wow, like these look really cool, that feeling I get when watching those is not more powerful than what connects me to Steins Gate, which I still think is a very good looking series, well directed, but just on that one note of like animation, I can recognize other series do it better, but that doesn't mean more to me than my emotional connection to Steins Gate and the things that I think it does well that makes it like the number one for me,
Right. But I'm asking like in a sense of, and I think what you said is valid. I'm just saying like, what if you think that about Steins Gate as an overall package, it still supersedes these other anime because as a whole, it resonates larger that the, smaller elements like animation or something don't matter in that regard, because as a full package, it was brought up higher in your mind. But what if, like, would it still be valid to consider that you still like would prefer how the animation is done in like Mob Psycho, for example? Like, you think like if you're just rating animation alone, you're like on a technical level, that's better. And that's valid. Like, if I were to just compare animation, I like the animation to Mob Psycho better. And on that level, I would not rank this higher than that. But as an overall package, Steins Gate is better for me. Like, is that still valid?
Definitely.
In that line of thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's cool to be like, I think it's cool to look at your like favorites and just things in general. I think it's cool to have like different elements that you prefer from other series too. Like, if you break down like every element of production and enjoyment, or like every kind of way you can appreciate a series, from like directing, animation, soundtrack, voice acting, writing, characters, etc. Like, a lot of those will be the same for your favorite, but I think it's really cool to have like different picks for all of those across other series that you've seen, I think that's like cool to see like what people value the most that might be in other series that aren't all found in their favorites.
Yeah.
And I think like, and I think in light of it's September now. In I guess like maybe less than a month, we're gonna have the new Bleach anime coming out, and so I'm on chapter 16 of Bleach. I
How's
have
that
like
going?
it hasn't been going, but I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to reading Bleach. I've been trying, but so in light of Bleach, I don't know much about Bleach, but I've always heard so many different opinions on Bleach, from like it's an undisputed masterpiece, it's and or like undisputed masterpiece, it's really fun but it has a lot of flaws, it's very superficial and just has good fights, and like it's absolute dog shit. I've heard every opinion someone could probably have on Bleach, but I think that there are a lot of people who genuinely don't take issues with it, and then you get into the back and forth about like, well, what about like this filler arc, or maybe like this reused plot line, or this kind of thing. Like you see so much back and forth, but that still hasn't stopped a series like Bleach from being so well loved and beloved in the community. They're like, it's one of those series that I think people have found technical issues with, and they're like, okay, this is why I do not like Bleach, because of like maybe it has a plot hole, or it reuses a plot line, or the character isn't well developed, whatever. So many things that seem like a quantifiable issue. And then people are like, either no, you didn't understand it, which I think is a new line of defense, or I don't care about that because everything else I enjoy so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been hearing that recently, that like there was a lot of stuff in Bleach that people like did not notice, like like reading weekly, or when they like on their first read, and like now that more diehard fans have like analyzed it, like there was all this subtle like symbolism that like the author Tite Kubo like placed in like throughout, and like my friend was like mentioning that to me, and he's like, oh, I didn't know it was like so deep, and I was like, I don't know, man.
And that's another thing, is it's like, if people find depth or like in something and other people don't, that's also totally valid. Like you could say like, hey, this thing is really deep, and someone else can be like, I do not agree, or I don't feel this, and so that doesn't mean much to me. But they can both coexist equally.
Yeah. Have you ever found yourself like in a spot where you like watch something that no one else like kind of co-signed, like everyone's kind of like of the opinion that it's probably dog shit, and like you kind of find yourself like liking it, or like just being like, you kind of enjoyed it and you were like,
Well, I guess that my Bleach
I don't know.
my Bleach is a Promare, because I've seen, because so many people Promare is my Bleach.
I don't get the Promare hate, so that to me is like just,
I get, well, we are also, in case
we're biased.
we are blessed because we got to see it at the US premiere. But I get the complaints because I think people found it like all style, no substance kind of watch. They watch it once and then they're like, okay, I don't remember anything from it. And I totally get that, because I've watched so many movies and shows and I'm just like, okay, moving on. But if you're a psychopath like me and you've seen it 8 times, then you're naturally going to pick up on some things in a similar light to probably like rereading Bleach 10 years later after, reading it in bulk instead of reading it weekly. You're going to probably pick up on some things that make you appreciate it more. So, like you'll appreciate it more, and then you'll see some things that other people don't. Like I was talking to a friend who was like, yeah, like I just like didn't really, I found Promare really superficial. Like what do you like about it so much? And then I was going off on like, the way it tackles like environmentalism, and the way like they have the political power structures trying to not only not solve the problem, but just like project it onto someone else, even when they have the means to solve the problem. Like it was a very similar theme I've seen in anime films, but tackled in a different way. And then when I brought all those things up, they're like, oh, I don't really remember. I should rewatch it. So yeah, it's totally fair. And and unfortunately, Gianni is not the only one who is hating on it. It is my cross to bear.
Yeah, no, I've heard Shaw mention to me a bunch of times that like she's heard like polarizing opinions, or like a lot of like people not liking Promare. So
yeah, no one likes it as much as me, probably,
for having it in top 10.
Yeah, because it's like I put it as like my like #1 anime film. So they're like, some people are like, what the fuck?
It's like whoa.
Yeah, they're like, calm down a bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought I guess like I also came in like I did expect it to be like a lot more style. So I don't know, I welcome that. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like I was bothered by it. I'm like, it's a film. I already don't expect much out of anime films, and a lot of like depth to be covered in the runtime of like 2 hours. So like
Yeah.
the visual spectacle combined with like some form of story and like it being fun and like, that was kind of like enough. So
Well, you've also had your own fair share of this, like especially as a big Your Name fan, you've had to deal with like the Your Name versus a Silent Voice debates that have happened since like 2016. And like I remember you were kind of like having an internal discussion. It's like, okay, people have all these reasons that they like a silent voice more, but I don't give a shit because I like Your Name. Like, how do
yeah,
you feel about that?
yeah, like I don't know. I just like watched Your Name. I mean, I watched the Silent Voice. I guess this goes back to that. I like what we were talking about just now. Like I got like what was good about it on a technical level. I was impressed by it on a technical level, but like by the end of it, like the subjective feeling was like, okay, I can move on with my life. Like I don't know. It was just like, all right.
It means more to you, and that's more important than other people's opinions on like what's like quote unquote deeper or better, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess at that point, like you ask yourself, like, oh, did I miss something? And you're like, well, I get what it's trying to do, and I'm not trying to put
Yeah.
it down. Like we're talking about a silent voice here, and you're like,
Yeah.
I appreciate the message. I appreciate what it's trying to do. Definitely did it really well in that regard. But I walked away from it feeling like, okay, that was good. Versus, when I initially watched Your Name, I was just like blown away. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
that was like so cool.
Yeah.
Although I watched it recently, and I'm like, oh, it went down a little.
Oh no,
Like
no,
a tiny bit.
because I don't know if I told you that like I really liked Premiere the first time. No, not Premiere. I see that in chat. I did like
Yeah.
Premiere, unrelated. I watched Your Name, and then I was like, oh, I like this, and then I watched it 2 other times, and it went down like each time, so that I was like,
because
oh
like
no.
I was like trying to get like I think when we talked about it a few times, I was trying to like get like, oh, what's the criticism? Like, what was the
Yeah.
problem with Your Name? Because I only watched it once, had the memory like in theaters, had the memory of
Yeah.
like that magical experience, and that's what stayed in my mind. And I'm like, all right, let me rewatch it. And one of the criticisms I heard was like the time lapse or the montage. I think you had like mentioned it, like
Oh no,
like
it stayed in your head.
too,
No.
like
Yeah.
quick, like to make it believable, like. But I heard other people say that too, like
Okay.
to make their relationship kind of believable. And I didn't think it would bother me. And then I was watching, and I'm like, you know what? This kind of it is kind of hard to believe a little. Like you have
No.
to suspend your belief a little bit. Disbelief. A little
No,
bit.
I don't want to ruin Your Name love. No, I'm never
Well, it
hating on
wasn't
something
you.
ever
Like
again.
it wasn't completely you. I mean, I guess it was you.
It was my fault.
You know what? Let's just blame
No.
you. No,
No.
I just I noticed it like because I feel like you wouldn't notice that on your first time watching it.
Yeah.
But like when you're watching it a second time, you're like, okay, like
Maybe. But
like
I
they
mean,
literally switched bodies. They barely interacted with each other. Like they kind of like sort of knew each other. It was only like I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then
Yeah.
they're back, and now like they're like star-crossed lovers. I'm like, okay.
I feel so bad. No, watch it again and forget
She's
what I
like,
said and love
he was
Your
so
Name.
like pure, just like purely enjoying anime, and now just
Full-time anime
cynical,
enjoyer. Now I'm
jaded.
turning into a full-time hater.
He
No.
just, nope. I mean, it didn't go down by much. It was just like it was like, did I think this was perfect? No. But I still liked it. So
Okay. Maybe on a rainy day you can rewatch and be like, they
like-
were wrong. It's perfect.
yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe.
I'm praying for that. I want that to go
It's
back.
okay. It's all right.
Let's go back.
We don't have to like what we liked at different points in our
No, I
life, you know?
disagree. I think you should always.
You think you have to like what you liked when
Wait.
you were 12? Like you
Wait,
think
what's the
taste
how-
shouldn't change?
I'm gonna meme something, but it's a spoiler, so don't say it. It's like, I don't want that. I want Onimoro to love Your Name for 10 years, even after I'm dead. You know
Wow.
that reference? Shout out to everyone who
I'm
knows
just
that
like,
reference.
my dying words are just like, I blame Shaw. For
um,
what?
to answer Silly Serpentines, I have seen Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill before Promare, and I loved all of them. So, and then Muskar got my back, Gurren Lagann top one, and still a Promare. And then to Angst's point about Your Name is now experiencing the Seinfeld effect with all these knockoffs. I do blame Your Name for the Your Name ripoff movies that we have seen later on. So
Yeah.
that's the word. That's the worst sin of Your Name, is everything that has come after Your Name.
This is common knowledge already, but Gurren Lagann was not a favorite of mine. So
Oh,
I'm
really?
probably basic hater that enjoyed Promare because
I like, yeah. Well, I think they're both like Promare works so well as like an action film
Yeah.
that like doesn't let off the brakes. And you know, Gurren Lagann lets off the brakes sometimes for important reasons. So like I appreciate them in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Amethyst is like, it sounds like you guys need to rewatch
No.
Pancreas to see how it affects your scores.
I already rewatched that movie like twice.
Did you rewatch it again, or
no? I mean, I rewatched it for our podcast on it like back then, and I was like, I didn't need to. It didn't. All it gave me was just words to articulate what I didn't like about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know, Jose and the tigerfish. It might make me appreciate Pancreas a bit more. I don't know.
You know, I actually, weirdly enough, I remembered like that you really didn't like that movie, and you were telling me about it, and then I just saw on my feed recently like someone saying they loved that film, like totally resonated with them, and I was just like, huh, it's just crazy like how you can talk to one person and then like totally like didn't vibe with the film, and then someone else like totally love the film. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and I respect that. I'm like, good on you liking that film. Now I can't be a hater just in case other people hate movies now.
Yeah. I mean, I think anime movies in general, I think can be a little more polarizing. Maybe like you can walk away with a more completely different experience.
I agree completely, because I think, you know, anime film runtime, let's say it's like at max like 2 hours. Like sometimes they're over 2 hours, but like let's say it's 2 hours. You have 2 hours to convince someone to have a strong feeling on it. So it's more likely that they're going to be like, oh, that was kind of decent or okay. And it's very hard to have like a strong impact in such a short runtime. Yeah. So
like I felt so bad because like my friends one night wanted to watch Bubble. Like I barely knew about this Bubble film, and then they put it on, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this, but sure. And then we were watching that, and then I like we finished it, and I was just like tearing it apart, and my one friend was like, well, I liked it.
No. There's always that guy.
Told us to watch it because he was just like, he vouched for it. He was like, oh, like, you know, it was pretty good. It was nice. It was wholesome, you know, and like he didn't like say it was like perfect, but he said he had a good time with it. And then after, I'm just like ripping into it, like forgetting that like he liked it and he's the one that like vouched for it in the first place. And I'm just like, shit.
It's like, no, I had that with my younger sister, which is like worse because she's younger, where she like started praising Seven Deadly Sins.
Strike hard.
Well, this comes back twofold. So I was shitting on like Seven Deadly Sins, like hardcore, and I'm like, shit, like no, she's like a teenager. I should go back, and she's like, no, I think it's fine. But now I think it's kind of funny because she was slandering Haikyuu because she finds it mid. So obviously that's like, you know, that's a cardinal sin. Yeah. But the funny part is she started playing volleyball in school, and she got demoted to like younger varsity, and I was about to be like, you know, if you liked Haikyuu,
that's what you get.
That's if you didn't like Haikyuu, maybe. So
if you watched a little more, paid a little more attention, you might have
got to learn it free quick. Like you could have done that for your team.
That's it.
Yeah. This is a good question.
I can just imagine you be like completely savage about it. Like you're like downplaying it for the pod, but in like reality, you were just like in her face.
My Seven Deadly Sins one was really bad. I shouldn't have done that. But for Haikyuu, I was just like, you are mid or something like this. Like, I was
subtle mic drop.
Yeah, just like you are mid. This is a question. Have you? Oh yeah, go ahead with that.
Oh, I just saw this. Drax says too many anime films now are about something magical happening with romantic subtext, and it's kind of annoying. I'd rather have an action movie.
Yeah, that's kind of my beef.
That's kind of true.
I'm just getting tired of the like, you know, it's a teenage love story that doesn't really end conclusively with their relationship, and there's some kind of melodrama either from magical events, environmental events, or someone has like something wrong with them, like a medical thing wrong with them, and that like pulls at the heartstrings, or some combination of all of them. And I'm like, I've seen this one before. Like, yeah, I've seen this variation before.
Something wrong with some organ that I won't name.
That we won't name. Wait, what's your thoughts on Garden of Words? I think
so I never watched it. I still haven't watched it. I think we talked about it on a previous pod. I don't know. A friend told me it was like foot fetish, the anime. So
I don't think it's that foot fetishy, but it is funny to call it foot fetish.
Oversimplified it just to be like facetious, but
the rain looks nice. I recommend it. It's like 45 minutes, so I think that's like a good watch.
Water is nice.
The water is nice.
I mean, I watched his Voices of a Distant Star, which was like one of his first ones, which was like a 30-minute film, and that was just like tragic and
And he made
upsetting.
it like by himself, right?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
impressive.
But like Garden of the Words isn't like, was it sad? Was it like one of
Uh,
his? Because it was Your Name where he started to have like the okay, I'm gonna make happy endings like era. Before that, it was like someone hurt me real bad
yeah,
era.
it's definitely not as sad as like 5 centimeters per second, I
Yeah,
think. So
yeah.
I think it's like, it's kind of like a Your Name ending. Close enough.
I'll check it out one
Yeah.
day. Water's nice and feet.
Water is
So.
nice.
Like, was there anything else that was good? Because wasn't it about like a guy that has like a crush on his teacher?
Yeah, pretty much. But he didn't know she was a teacher.
Oh.
So it's like there's a bit more to it, but it's so short that like anything I say is kind of a spoiler.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I will
you'll
put
see.
it on the list along with Grave of the Fireflies.
Yes. good back to back watching.
It's still paused on the 17-minute mark, just right there.
Yeah, that's both two heartfelt movies.
Yeah.
Would not cry. Yeah.
Would not cry.
So that's a good example of something that a lot of people are like, so for people that don't know, I'm not big on Grave of the Fireflies for a few reasons. The number one reason being I didn't really connect with the kid characters. I think they're like, like I get it. But then another thing is they kind of tell you what's going to happen in the movie in the opening scene. So like I don't think it was a good use of like non-linear storytelling where like we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I didn't watch the whole movie, but I was like tweeting Shaw, like I was complaining as I started the movie that I hated that they did that. I was just like, what's the point? I don't care.
Yeah. It reminds me of this book we had to read in high school or middle school called My Brother Sam is Dead. And everyone was complaining because we're like, well, now we know what happens to their brother Sam. Like, he's dead. So it's kind of along those lines. Yeah. And but people always bring up like, oh, but like it's so technically well made. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But like the technical elements are not good enough to overshadow my gripes with it,
Yeah. Like for them, it's okay. But for you, it's like, well, I don't prioritize that. So, and
it's also like, I think it's technically great, but I also, it's not my favorite technical thing. I have a lot of other things that I think look better and are made better. So it's also not like, oh, I think this is the best looking thing of all time, but also it's mid,
Also, it's mid.
Also.
Just want to shout this out. Garden of Words is just incredibly beautiful, which is why I recommend it. This is high praise coming from Drax, so maybe I do have to watch it.
It is incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, so I gotta check it out one day.
This is a good question. Opinions on anime that used to be considered by many as one of the best, but over the years it gets less beloved. Code Geass is a big example. Back in the day, you used to see it in a lot of best lists, and then you used to see it in a lot of best lists.
Okay, so I am like long overdue for a Code Geass rewatch, and I was like considering it recently just because I have heard about this decline like in fan opinions like constantly over the years, and it's made me like really curious. I'm like, is it, I mean, I got the consensus about season 2 and I get that, but I feel like now overall like it's just lessened in people's minds, like the show, and it's like, like does it really not hold up? And that's like curious to see how I feel about it now.
Me too. I actually started on a whim. I was like, let me start rewatching Code Geass today, and I started the first episode. So I might take the jump on it and start the Code Geass rewatch because I have fond memories of it. I think I don't know. I feel like it's either people are undervaluing how they felt about it because it's been a while since they've seen it, or they rewatch it and they realize they didn't like it as much as they did originally. So I don't really know.
When I was watching it back then, it was really like, I mean, most people I knew really liked it. It was airing really like almost at the same time as Death Note. So there was obviously those comparisons happening at the same time. But most people that didn't like it just didn't like Lelouch. Just they didn't like him as a protagonist. Yeah, like they were just like, oh, Lelouch. They just hated him. So like if they just didn't like how egotistical he was or whatever, they were just like, okay, you know, they didn't really like the anime. But if you did like him as a protagonist, then you were kind of like mostly all right with it. You liked what was going on. So I don't know.
Definitely very reliant on how much you like Lelouch.
Yeah, because he's like kind of like a big part of it. So you know, it's all about his you know, strategies.
The idea that people are watching like Death Note and Code Geass like every like next to each other, and they're like, this Lelouch guy, kind of a huge asshole. I like Light a lot more, and it's
Yeah,
like
he's just
one of these
so-
guys is kind of just like killing people nonstop for like years on ends because he determined that they're bad criminals, and the other one, you know, might be kind of might have some good reasons behind his actions, and it's like, no,
don't like
this
his
is the douche.
personality.
Yeah, yeah. He's kind of mean. I don't like him. You know.
Yeah, you know, I just think maybe like some people thought he was like too like theatrical, bombastic, just like over the top, and they just like that didn't appeal to them. So I don't know, but I liked it. I was feeling it. I was like, this is my jam. So I really did enjoy Code Geass back then. So I'm curious to see, you know, if it falls off. Maybe we need to have a Code Geass pod.
Yeah, I would be down rewatching Code Geass.
Yeah.
Code Geass of the Resurrection of the Revolution.
I did watch the Resurrection one without rewatching seasons 1 and 2. So I went to watch that, and I'm like, I think they retconned something. Something here doesn't feel quite the same.
Yeah, I think I watched the Akiso movies. Those were really bad, so you could skip that. So no one needs to watch that.
Yeah. Just reading through the chat right now. By the way, if you still want us to talk about best anime,
right.
We can go back to that.
We didn't say, Odie, what is your take on the whole like best anime versus like favorite kind of thing?
So the reason I actually brought it up is because I was curious to hear like what you and the chat, like everybody kind of had to say, because I'm sort of like still in the middle, like still trying to figure it out. So I'm just I kind of wanted to just hear other opinions and kind of like formulate there, because like I do think it is valid, I think, to like obviously like prioritize your favorite anime, but sometimes like I have like appreciated, and I guess that's the key word, appreciated the technical aspects of certain shows. I'm like, oh, this like, you know, this makes it feel really good, but then it's like, but then do you resonate with it? So it's like it's a tough balance, you know.
What do you feel are like the ones you're torn with?
Let me see. I mean, like top one's never a debate because that's always Evangelion, so that's easy.
Yeah.
It's really when it just comes to like the stuff after that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like recent examples that I'm torn with, or just in general.
I guess just in general. Like, what makes you? Which one's in your favor? So you're kind of like, you know, which ones are you're like, I resonate with this, but it's not as technically good as this thing. So I'm like torn on these two.
I will come back to you on that because I don't have a fresh example in my brain, but yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just more of like a broad thing. So because now as I'm watching new things and I'm trying to think, so it's really more of like as I'm watching new things and I'm trying to think of like trying to sum up my thoughts after having watched it and give it like a rating in my head. I'm just like, I enjoyed like parts of it, but then other parts I didn't. So it's like trying to weigh that, the enjoyment factor versus like the technical factor. So
yeah. I generally agree with this line of thinking that Muscart added. Trying to frame an anime as the objective best will always be silly because it will always seem insincere and robotic. And I do agree with that. Like, anytime someone tries to use objective to talk about something's quality, I immediately tune out because it's like, okay, I think you are getting this opinion from other people, you know? Like when you're trying to like determine something based on a group of people, you can lose like your own opinion in that too. Because if we weren't like say you watch a bunch of series and you have no idea how anyone else feels about them, like, you know, no sense of like the community, other thoughts, everyone would have completely different opinions and completely different ideas on what is the best, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they say, what is the point of engaging with art and making that engagement as impersonal as possible?
It's true.
Kind of true.
Yeah.
Kind of true. Kind of spitting facts.
Yeah, because then if everybody agreed on the best, then they would all have the same exact opinion. So
Yeah, which gets a bit boring.
yeah. How do you feel though, having most of your taste, and we've talked about this before, being like almost the Mal Top 100 or like very similar to that with a few unique ones? I mean, like all of your taste is like all genuinely coming from what you resonate with. So that's,
Yeah,
it's not like you purposely are
yeah,
doing what other people, might do where they just kind of don't value their own opinion, just go what's best. But for you, it's like stuff that you genuinely liked. But do you ever like reflect and be like, huh, my taste is kind of just, the same as the Mal Top
yeah.
100?
I'm like, yeah, I look at it and I'm like, it would be nice to have like to mix it up a bit, and then I do sometimes, but um, it's definitely interesting. Like, I'm not sure, I'm not sure how different it would look if I didn't know what other people had recommended or like what other people loved. But what I find really interesting is that like, you know, um, if you go across different social media sites, they have completely different favorites. So in a funny way, like my favorites are, pretty close to the Mal top 100. But if you talk to like anime fans on like TikTok or like, younger fans, they have not seen a good part of the Mal top 100 or some of my favorites, like I'm not going to see Steins Gate being recommended to new people on TikTok, you know?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really easy to forget when we're like kind of used to being in the community is that like a lot of the top ones are not popular. Like
Mm-hmm.
some are, some
Mm-hmm.
aren't. Like definitely not a lot of people know about Legend of Galactic Heroes.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking about popular, like mainstream anime.
Yeah.
But for us, it's normal for people to know about that anime. But a
Yeah.
lot of the wider community is like, nah, I never heard of that.
We're in like a very unique position where we're very aware of what like the popular consensus are for a lot of people, but we know enough to know what people who are like really deep into the medium who've seen like over 1,000 shows what they would like. And we're in like a very weird middle grounds where like we've seen a lot of the popular stuff, but we might not find it as good as they think it is. But then we've also seen some of the like more obscure, super legendary acclaim series, and we like it, but not all of it. So I think
Yeah.
we're just both in that middle ground where we can see
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah, exactly. And to give one of the examples from before where you were asking me about, what I'm torn on or whatever. So it actually, why it wasn't coming to me is because it's not anime. It's just, I watched a recent Marvel movie that came out on Disney Plus because I didn't want to watch it in theaters. I heard it was getting panned. So I was like, I'll just wait. So Thor Love and Thunder finally came out on Disney Plus.
Interesting.
And I had heard so many things and I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna form my own opinion on it because a friend of mine did watch it and he was like, I liked it. He's like, I
Yeah.
can see the issues with it. I still liked it. So I'm like, okay, all right. And some people were also saying, hey, it's not as bad, as it sounds. Like other people online are just like blowing this out of proportion. And we'll bring this back to anime, but just as an example. So I watch it and I did not have a good time. Like I got what people were talking about, but it wasn't just because of what they were saying. I was like just trying to get what it was trying to do. And some people did say if you came in like expecting the typical type of Thor movie or whatever, you would be disappointed. But I don't even know if I agree with that. Just because, so to give context, one of the biggest complaints is like this movie was like way too much comedy, like way too much of like Marvel comedy in one movie.
Yeah.
And coming fresh off of the last movie, which was Thor Ragnarok, which was like now considered like one of the best Thor Marvel movies because of that comedic element. It's kind of like hard to think like, how did that ruin the movie? How would that be tiring? But as I'm watching it, I'm like, it's not the comedy because it's not like some bits are funny. It's just the amount of it and the tone of it makes it feel like something, and I couldn't put my word on it. And then it finally came to me. It's like, this feels like a farce. Like it feels like they're taking the piss out of like superhero movies and the Thor movies.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But then this is the movie.
Yeah.
So why are they doing that in the movie that's supposed to continue? Like it just was like,
yeah.
I don't know what it's trying to do here.
Like they're
I'm
trying to
not.
do the boys in Thor.
I guess so.
Maybe not like
But
actually the boys, but some kind of like wink
like
and a nod.
yeah, but every moment was a wink and a nod.
Oh, that's obnoxious. Yeah, that gets
Yeah.
old. Yeah.
Like every single moment, you couldn't take a character seriously. It's like if, okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. It's like if every character was the deep, and
Oh,
every
no.
single moment was like
No.
the deep moment.
Oh, that's awful.
Like,
It
yeah,
would be
like
a
they
nightmare.
oversimplified Thor, and so some people said like if you do watch it a second time and like come in expecting this and come in expecting comedy, you might be able to enjoy it more. I'm not sure if I would, maybe,
Yeah.
but I'd have to try it. But
You know what
so
it sounds
yeah,
like? When people say you can't go in expecting this or you need to rewatch and do this. And I know we just talked about like rewatching things more than other people and appreciating it. Like, me talking about Premiere, like I've rewatched and appreciate it.
yeah,
I'm not going to assign people homework to go rewatch something to appreciate it or come out with a positive opinion on it. Like
yeah,
if you watch it the first time and you're just like, okay, I'm going to go watch this movie. And then people are like, well, you shouldn't have expected a Thor movie or you shouldn't have expected an MCU movie or like this. It's like, I'm sorry, what am I supposed to be doing here? Like, what kind of leg room, what kind of background required reading, required thinking am I supposed to be doing to enjoy a movie that's supposed to be fun?
yeah, yeah. And I'm not like super mad at the movie. I'm like, I get what it was trying to do. Like, it was fine. I just like found myself like when I was trying to sum it up at the end, I'm like thinking like, I don't know if I had a good time with this. And it, like
Yeah.
based on like if I were to put this in a rating, I'm like, I thought, I by the end of it, it moved the story along, and it, wasn't like all bad. There were some funny moments. It did move some of the story, but I was like, it was very uneven, and I'm
Yeah.
like, would I give that like a 7, or would I'm like, but if I didn't enjoy it, I'm like, I think it's like a 5. So it was like that weird like
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like trying to figure out my own, like where it fell. I'm like, oh, if I didn't have a good time,
Then like how can you praise it,
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna go out of my way to like go like we just said, try to rewatch it to try to praise it. So that's like one of the examples, and other stuff I've been watching, but yeah, that's what was like in my head.
Yeah. You'll appreciate this more than me. Call me the most unfunny scene in Thor 4 the way I'm a giant goat.
You know, I I'm trying to remember what scene that was. I mean, like they had these like goats that were like, for some reason their sound was just like screaming, and they were
Like
just like
that Taylor Swift video meme.
I think so, and they were just screaming constantly throughout the whole film. Well, like not constantly, but like a lot of different points. So it was
That
like
sounds awful. Oh my god.
it was a lot. I was like,
I gotta see this movie, but I really don't want to. I think I'm also just exhausted with the MCU. Like I need a
Yeah.
break.
You've been every time I've talked to you about it, you're just like, yeah, is it really still good? Like, are you? Still
I need a break. I've needed a break for like a year.
I mean, have you still been watching? Didn't you drop off like a while back?
Yeah, I think at the latest, I watched the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I saw that, and I really like that. But like, I'm good. I think I need a break.
I definitely
need some space.
Felt some people like friends after that like felt like they also needed like a break after that.
Yeah.
Just because I mean, and I'm not even like trying to be a hater with Marvel. Like I enjoy what they're trying to do, but like this is like where they're getting really experimental and really throwing a lot of shit at the wall. And I feel like some stuff is getting like sacrificed in the process, and like I commend them for like trying to do this, but it's like, this is the phase that is like it's at the verge of feeling a little more aimless, whereas like the previous stuff like all had like a clear trajectory. Here it's like, it's like
maybe not.
The best way my friend put it is this feels like an extended epilogue. like everything that came after, like this just feels like a giant epilogue.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Nothing feels like it has stakes. It just feels like, we're just doing stuff.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Do you think there is an anime equivalent that just feels like a giant epilogue?
An anime equivalent that feels like a giant epilogue. I mean, I guess it would have to be a sequel, right? I don't know.
Promise Neverland season 2? Not the best.
I mean, I don't think that's a good epilogue.
It's not a good epilogue, but it is extended somewhat.
Yeah, I got to read the manga for that, so I can actually get the full story.
I would love to see what you think about the stuff that they left out, because I'm still unhappy.
I heard they left out a lot of good arcs.
They left out arguably the best arc. I still have not seen anything like this where they're like, yeah, we're gonna just skip the best arc and see what happens.
Yeah. I gotta see it. I mean, I can't believe they just cut out so much, but I have to check it out. See, because I did hear like people were like mixed, including you, I think, like mixed on how the manga ended. It was like okay,
Yeah,
but still infinitely better than what they did with season 2.
I think it's one of those cases where it's like the final arc had some rocky roads, but it ended well. Like the actual ending, I really like.
Yeah. I'll have to. I mean, endings count a lot, actually. I mean, I feel like that's why Code Geass, even though it had a rocky season 2, a lot of the reason why people loved it and were able to make peace with it, and it stayed on top anime list at least for a good 5, 6, 7 years or whatever.
And I do love the Code Geass season 2 ending. I think it's a fantastic
well, I'm saying
ending.
It was the ending. I think it was the ending that made up for a lot of it. Part of what made up for The Wire season 5 was its ending.
I love Wire season 5. I still don't know why you didn't like it.
It's okay.
It's like my second favorite season in The Wire.
I don't know. My issues, I don't have a lot of issues with it. I think the McNulty arc, like, it was just weird. Like,
I love the McNulty arc. He became my favorite in season 5.
I don't know. It was a little bit.
He's Baltimore. He is Baltimore. There's no rhyme or reason to Baltimore. Well, there is a rhyme or reason.
It was a little bit out there. Like the stuff he was trying to do. It was a little bit ridiculous. I don't know.
I can explain it, but we can get to that another time.
That's for another pod. But I don't hate it. And I love it. For that, like the ending, like made up for all of it. So I was like, it's good.
That last episode was just like, punch in the gut. Anyway,
but I did really like the news kind of like angle, like focusing on that side of it. I thought it was really interesting, but we'll save that for something else.
For the Wire pod.
Next live action pod.
Yeah. So anyway, I think also going to endings, I think that's like a very critical part of a show. And I think that is something that people value a lot. So I think that's another reason why I'm okay with Full Metal Alchemist being top 1 on so many sites, is because it does have an ending. And so many series don't have an ending. And that's like, it's a big anime issue, or they don't have an ending, or they have an unsatisfactory ending, for various reasons.
Yeah. Because either anime don't ever end, or they get rushed or something like that. So.
Yeah. And that's why I also see like why Fruits Basket is on the top so much. It has a good ending, and it has, a very conclusive, satisfying ending for a lot of people. So it's like, I can see why it would be above Nana for a lot of people.
Yeah. Because like a lot of people were mad that Nana had like some cliffhanger, so if you didn't like kind of get into the mindset of just appreciating all the other factors and you were weighing it on the ending, then it's reasonable that you wouldn't be happy. But even then, like, because the thing is, it's tougher with anime because anime isn't like a novel, like where like. And I'm not talking about like multi-book novels. I'm just talking about like a regular novel. You read it beginning to end and you can just rank like, okay, this is where it would stand because it's a full thing and it has an ending. It's like, no, it's like a piece of like, the story. And that's how we're looking at it as.
Yeah.
It's like its own like its own like experience pretty much.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But in terms of best anime, I do have to say though, The Godfather, and I know it's not an anime, but it could be an anime. As a film, it really does hold up.
You think
and
that's
I know
like
it's like mostly on people's like film snobs like top list, but I'm like, it holds up. It's really good.
What is would you say Neon Genesis Evangelion is the Godfather of anime?
Whoa.
That's where it gets. Whoa.
Evangelion's The Sopranos of
true.
anime. Yeah.
That is true. That's the best comparison.
Yeah. But sure. Yeah, I'll say it's
which is the Godfather of anime.
Yeah, it's the Godfather of anime. Why not? I mean, like, technically if you look at it from like a literal like having like so much influence on so many anime that came after it for like 20 years, could be seen as a Godfather.
You could see that. I wonder if we need an anime film that's like the Godfather of anime.
I think so. What would that be? Like, do you think that exists?
I don't know. I mean, So people are going to be like, well, what about Astro Boy? But they have to remember Astro Boy might be like the first anime. Godfather is not the first film. Godfather is just like
It's just like the most
the benchmark.
influential, kind of like praised as a masterpiece.
I guess it would be something like Spirited Away, right?
I think so. Like a
Spirited Away, maybe.
Like a Ghibli film.
If I want to be
or Princess Mononoke.
But I don't think Princess Mononoke is as like influential as Spirited Away.
Right, because Spirited Away did receive like the more universal acclaim.
Yeah, even though we like it more.
Yeah.
I want to say Akira, but I don't think it's as acclaimed as everyone. I don't think it's as acclaimed as like The Godfather or Spirited Away.
Is it? Is it not?
It is, but then people are like, I don't know. Maybe it has
really
like
is and it isn't, you know?
It is and it isn't. But I think Akira could work if only because Akira kind of showed that like anime films that are geared towards an adult audience can be blockbusters. Like that was a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I love Akira.
20 years from now, it'll be Attack on Titan.
I don't know if the ending will. Attack on Titan is one of those weird cases where like I could see it overtaking Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood on so many sites, and I think it might be like this decade's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but there's such a mixed response to the ending that I have no idea what's going to happen.
Has there been an anime? No, this isn't even a good example because we just like kind of named it. Like I was going to say, has there been an anime that has been able to retain its popularity and its consensus and its influence regardless of its ending? And then we were just talking about Evangelion, so it's like stupid.
We need Attack on Titan to have End of Attack on Titan, where they have like an ending that's
like Isayama just shows up at the end, like that's it.
He shows up on screen and just tells everyone off, like, fuck you guys.
Like, fuck you. This was the ending. I'm not remaking it.
I'm not doing this again.
Like he literally spells out the themes at the end of the movie.
Well, they show it in like one of those like those end cards that they have before commercial breaks. They like literally like spell it out. And so people were posting it. They're like, look, they said the thing.
No, I'm saying like if he ever does like a movie, like he literally walks on like onto the movie with a paper and he like reads out the themes. Like these were the themes.
Wait, I'm dumb. Of course we already have it. Requiem is the end of Attack on Titan. How could we have forgotten about Requiem?
That's true.
I forgot. I'm so excited.
It's not really like from the author though.
Well, it's a author. Or remember that theory that Toka's review said that Isayama is ghostwriting, and you're like, he brought that up, and you're like, that is literally not happening. But okay,
that's not how it's going. But okay,
you just said it so matter of factly. It was like so funny. You're like, that's not happening, but that's a funny theory. It was so nice.
That's nice. That's cute.
It was so funny. Got to bring him back.
Kizu Monogatari is really good, but Monogatari is like its own thing.
I mean, Kizu and Akira are my two favorite looking anime things.
Yeah, I really am due for that Akira rewatch. I've said that like 5 times already, but that's how you know I haven't watched it yet.
And if you got a like nice TV, Akira, it's like whoosh. That's gonna be awesome.
I gotta do it. But yeah, bringing it back to best anime. Chat, what is your thoughts on best anime?
And then what do you think is the best anime?
Yeah, what do you think is the best anime? And like, I don't want any asterisk, any footnotes, any caveats. Yeah. Like, don't be a coward.
Don't be a coward. Anime? That's a thing that I really just like. If people say we have, the anti-Shaw. What if someone's like, I think Pancreas is the best anime, despite all of Shaw's hating, and they like felt it in their hearts and they just said it, I'd be like, you know what? Good on you. Like, you don't need my approval to find it to be the best anime.
Yeah. Actually, I like this comparison. Akira is the Citizen Kane of anime.
That's true. I haven't seen Citizen Kane.
Accurate. I did. I watched it.
What do you think? Because I hear a lot of criticism for that.
I watched it on an airplane, and that helped, because I had time to kill. So I'm like, you know what? Let me watch this movie, and I hope I don't fall asleep. And I didn't. I mean, I was really like amazed by it on a technical level.
Really?
Because I had to like keep doing a double take that this was done in the 40s.
Wow. And I didn't know it was that old.
Yeah, it's like 1945, like it's or 1940 something. Like it was really early in the 40s. I'm like, holy shit! Like it looked like the transitions were so cool and everything like looks so good for a film done in the 40s. I'm like, this is like way ahead of its time. So because I was like, I mean, I also like the story too, but and like the storytelling, but yeah, on a technical level, like that's why I was like really impressed by, especially for its time. So I think that would be kind of accurate for like how Akira like falls into like how impressive it is on a technical level.
That makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch it now. 8 and Akira.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, even if you hate
Yeah.
it.
That'd be the live action cast coming soon. So we got for one of the picks got from Muscart. It's Gurren Lagann, quickly followed by the Tatami Galaxy.
Nice.
I think those are good.
Didn't that come out with a sequel?
Tatami, it's like kind of a sequel, but not.
It's a spiritual sequel. I think we.
Yes, let's go. Yeah, perfect way of putting it. It's called a Time Machine Blues. I saw the first episode and it was very good.
It's on point. Is it like being thrown back into the world of Tatami Galaxy?
It kind of is. Yeah, I think some. I don't know. I don't want to say too. I don't want to be too critical because I think like some scenes weren't as like. It essentially looks like a Tatami Galaxy episode though. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's valid. I feel best anime needs to be something you can openly recommend, and you know the person will have a high chance of enjoying it without knowing their likes or dislikes. I think that's a good way of putting it. Do you disagree, Shaw?
I think that's a good answer. I think that's also a very good like, utilitarian way of looking at like recommending something and talking about it in like this sphere. So I think that's a good answer, and that's like that.
No, sorry, finish.
And I think Amethyst also agreed with like Full Metal Alchemist is like the best, like to use as like that kind of recommendation.
Do you think then and this is to chat to Cha, like, do you think then when you say best anime, you should err on the side of caution of not making it sound like you're saying like this is like blanket statement, the best anime of all time? Should you, make it known that it's like this is the best anime for me, or in my opinion?
I think I do that sometimes. Like in my head, like it depends. But I think I do end up saying like, it's my favorite. I think it's the best. But on the other hand, sometimes I'm just like full of confidence. I'm like, nah, it's the best.
It's the best. That's it.
It's the best.
The answer is Goat Q.
I'm going to tell my sister if she wants to get on varsity for volleyball, she has to like Haikyuu more.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Got Cowboy Bebop.
Another great pick.
Durarara and Steins Gate.
I think those are good picks too. Durarara is one of those ones that like I didn't watch until somewhat recently, like within the past couple of years. But that's when I feel like you could really recommend to a lot of people and they would enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like especially the first season, it was like very highly accessible for like a mainstream audience because it was just like different, had a lot of characters, it was interesting. I don't know about the subsequent seasons, but that's just me.
Subsequent seasons, I'm still watching, and I just don't think they're going to be as tight and good as like the first season.
Yeah, that's how I kind of ended up feeling about them. So yeah. Trust and Betrayal is still the best to me. I got two favorites ahead of it for personal impact, but on a technical level, Trust and Betrayal unmatched. Although the other two, Kuroko and NHK, occupy the same space. I do think Trust and Betrayal is really impressive on a technical level.
Yeah, that's another one of my hot takes where I wasn't like super engaged by the story.
You were just like, okay, another samurai revenge story. Whatever.
Sounds really bad when I hear it back at me. But like it's one of those things where like I definitely appreciate the technical level, but it didn't do enough to make me engaged in everything,
Yeah.
And I'm also one.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You hadn't watched Rurouni Kenshin at all. You just went straight to that.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not someone who's going to be like, I don't get attached to characters really quickly. So a lot of times quick character work doesn't work for me. So like if it relies on you kind of like, making a strong first quick impression, a lot of times it just doesn't hit me as much. But I'm also not someone who gets like super emotional at character deaths or, tragedy, like in general. Like you kind of have to like really work for that.
I think I'm like, that's a cool way of putting it. Cause I think I'm starting to get a little more detached from like, characters now versus before the tricks would more easily work on me to just kind of like quickly get invested in character.
Yeah.
You know, Pancreas tried to do that, it didn't work. So that's when I first started noticing, like, I can detach, I can not care.
I can. I am having the worst influence on you. That's what I'm hearing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, no. I hated Pancreas before we even talked about it. So
Oh,
that was
doesn't even
all
lie.
me. You know,
Okay.
I sat in that theater not having a good time while my friends were having some sort of good time, and I was like, I don't know what you guys saw in this.
Yeah, I just imagine that meme of like the dude in the corner, and it's like, I'm hating Pancreas. They don't know, but I'm hating it here.
Yeah. No, it was actually really funny because we like walked out of the theater, and like I started crapping on it, and then my wife joined in, and then my friend's fiance joined in, and then the three of us were like, yeah, this was bad, and that was bad, and that didn't make sense. And then my friend was like, I don't know, guys, I kind of liked it. And we're like, no, shut up.
I feel so bad when you're that person. You're like, actually, I liked it. It's like, my friends are mean.
No, it was bad. What did you see in it? Secretly toxic. So yeah, no, because
this was relating to being like, do we have to specify if it's our best? I was gonna say, no, I hate semantics like that. We should all just understand that when someone says it's the best, they're being subjective. I do agree with that. I don't think we have to say like, in my opinion, after everything.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because a lot of times that has been said, like, especially for people when they, like, in writing, even in general, like, people, like, a good, usually they recommend for writing, you shouldn't write, in my opinion, because it should be assumed it's in your opinion. Or also when the other side of it, when people overreact to someone, like, being, like, a critical authority, or just, you know, trying to, like, say, like, this is the blanket statement of all time, they don't factor in that this is just their opinion, because they feel like they need it spelled out in order to assume that. That they're talking like that. So it's kind of, you have to be like very careful with online discourse. So so what I was gonna say was I rewatched Dawn of the Deep Soul.
What did you think?
I had a good time.
Is it still really creepy?
I mean, it is. I feel like, so what happened was, I'm not gonna go too much into it, but so like I started to just, I didn't have a good time the first time because I was just kind of like experiencing it as it was.
Yeah.
Second time I just intellectualized everything. So then now I just became removed. so then
You're like describing like disassociating from your emotions, and you're like, now I'm not bothered by character deaths, and I'm not bothered by the weird shit in Made in Abyss. So
I mean,
now
there's still
I'm
weird
fine.
shit, but now I can look at it and be like, this is weird.
You've given up earthly attachments, and you've transcended as the Buddha.
I get what this is doing. I get it. This is necessary.
It's like you're like describing a mental breakdown to appreciate like for a certain anime, and it's like maybe
slowly losing myself. This is for science. Bondru did this all for science. He loves his kids. He loves them. He has affection for them.
Oh my god, I've been watching the new season of Made in Abyss, and I don't know if it's gonna hit as much as like the movie, but like thinking back, it's like, damn, that movie really was just like, they really just did the damn thing. to not spoil it, they just did it.
I think this season's been pretty hardcore.
This season has been hardcore, but I don't know if it's hit me as much as like the other ones. I don't know.
Like hit you on a like on an emotional level. Like
emotional, but also just kind of like, I don't know if I'm hit with the same sense of wonder that I was in the other two, like season one and in the movie. I don't know though.
So I did rewatch season one. I don't know. I feel like the sense of wonder was in season one.
Yes.
I don't know if the movie had a sense of wonder for me. I feel
That's
like
true. I was wondering when it was gonna end, so I could stop seeing kids getting fucked up. That's the wonder.
I was like, when is this ending? This is horrible. I mean, I guess like. And then season two, like, it has a sense of wonder, but it's more of a fucked up, like, bizarre, like.
It's definitely different. I think what my beef is so far is that it's kind of like three separate stories.
Yeah.
I have one thing that I have like a genuine like criticism for that, like I do not like. I don't want to
talk about it after.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. When it's just like a very like, I don't like this thing, but I think it's also because it's like three different things, and now they're coming together, which is cool. But like a lot of it has been
I think separated. I liked it though. I like that though, because I heard in the manga they actually did it more linear, where it was like just boom, Like the main story, then all of this story in a flashback later on.
Gotcha.
Versus here, they're like, let's connect it and have it
I do like
simultaneous.
that. Yeah, I like the way I do like that, like how it's kind of goes back and forth. I mean, more with like it's like you got the three main leads. The three mains have their own things going on, but
yeah, I think it's also made it really dense, like to try to keep up with like all the little details and piece them together. So
yeah, and I'm still enjoying it a lot. It's just the difference between being like, you know, my favorite part of Made in Abyss or just like, you know, still Made in Abyss. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
This is cool that Amethyst said Made in Abyss is interesting because it kind of ties into your earlier point for me where people watch something for enjoyment versus appreciation. I stopped watching the series as I wasn't enjoying the events, which is pretty fair because there's some fucked up shit going on.
Honestly, I don't even know if I'm enjoying it. I just have like a morbid curiosity, and I just like every week is like, why am I here? Like, why did I come back? I
do have to give it praise because I feel like Made in Abyss is one of, if not the only anime series that promises that like one of the appeal is that like fucked up things will happen, that like very brutal things will happen, and it does not pull punches. And I think a lot of other series pull their punches sometimes while also like kind of promising it, but Made in Abyss lives up to it, you know?
No, I think that's definitely what makes it like that's what makes you excited and fearful of the same time, because Made in Abyss is one of the few anime that has no safety net.
There's no safety. I was watching the beginning and I was like on edge the whole time. I'm like, what will happen?
Anything can fucking happen. And it's like, you're just like, I don't want to know, but I also
need to know. What's the adventure? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, it really captures that sense of adventure. So I agree with that.
Yeah, but it does nail the adventure part really well. But yeah.
It also does nail the disturbing part really well.
Yeah. It's like,
This has been a very disturbing season.
Yeah. Because like so many series people praise as dark and they're like, it's either too dark in a comical way or it's dark but not dark enough as people promise it to be. But Made in Abyss is the one that I think it's like, no, it is actually like as dark as it promises. Drax said that, I mean, I tried to watch Made in Abyss, but I just gave up because of the sus stuff, and I think the author has his name on the list somewhere. Yeah, not gonna deny that. That's kind of accurate.
No, I think that's a full thing. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I can't defend it.
Nope, I don't want it. Yep.
I mean, there was like one specific scene in the season which is just like completely unnecessary, and it wasn't even anything big. It was just like one line, like
just like, and it's like, we don't need this. There's enough fucked up stuff going on. We don't need this.
Yeah. And I have like found out more that like the author didn't completely like develop everything for Made in Abyss that we find interesting, like the world building. Like apparently that was also partly the anime staff.
Oh, interesting.
So like he hadn't fully thought of like all the stuff with the layers.
Oh, interesting.
Yet. But the anime staff it was already greenlit and they needed to know. So them asking him questions helped him flesh it out.
That's cool. I like that a lot. That's very collaborative. But I must get nervous what you're talking about, and I forget the line.
Oh, I know. Everybody knows.
I don't know the line. What's the line? Damn it. Just tell me in private.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I need to know. This is so. I need to know what's in the abyss.
Hold on.
Yeah. I think Made in Abyss is just also like one of. Oh, I forgot. I forgot about that. I've disassociated so much that it's nothing has phased me when it comes to Made in Abyss.
Once you intellectualize it, you're all good. It's all good. It's just interesting. You get the pure joy and the wonder back.
Yeah, it's fun adventure time. Nothing can phase me.
This season, I think thematically, this season is about poop. That's what the season is about.
Yeah. It's been a recurring thing, actually. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter x Hunter, not my top one, but it's the best anime of all time.
I've seen both sides of this.
Does that make you malfunction, Shaw?
No, I think it's interesting because I've seen this both sides. I've seen people say, I think Hunter x Hunter is the best anime of all time, but it's not my top one. But I've also seen it's my top one, but I don't think it's the best. So I'm never sure,
How do we reconcile this? How do we
just make it your top one and consider it the best? Like,
how can it be the one and not the other?
I know. I think it's interesting because it's like, because I feel like I could
This
almost
this is actually
understand.
the example I was looking for. Let's hyper focus on this.
Yeah, let's focus on this one. So I think
Yeah.
I could probably, as the resident Hunter stan. I wish I changed my background and I had another like Hunter 10 and I just like switch back and forth.
Yeah.
Um I could almost understand people having it as their favorite more than finding it the best, but it's kind of like I think if you think one, you generally think the other, but like I don't know. I mean, it's not my top one, but it's like my top two. So like
Yeah.
essentially up there.
It's
But
one of the anime that you could anything in your top 10, I think you could say you consider it the best anime. Like
yeah,
we could make that argument, say, right? Like
yes.
your top 10 is essentially what you consider the best anime in the medium.
Yeah, I would say anything I've given a 10, I consider one of the highlights of the medium.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So, I mean,
yeah.
I can understand it and I do agree with it, but I've also found kind of like you probably would be more knowledgeable on this than I would, but like I found some frustration in a lot of the like comparing Hunter x Hunter to other series discourse because I feel like so many people have positive and negative feelings on Hunter x Hunter relating to their feelings on other battle shonen, and I just don't really relate to that. Like a lot of people will be like, I don't like Hunter x Hunter because I like this thing in Naruto that it does so much better. So by comparison, Hunter x Hunter isn't as good. But then I'll hear the exact opposite where they'll say like, well, Hunter x Hunter does this, this, and this, and like in Naruto they don't do this. And it's kind of like that's cool, but that means like absolutely nothing for me because I don't give a shit about I don't give a shit about a show I haven't seen. I will watch Naruto and experience it, but like if you're praising or criticizing something, I want it to be like self-contained so I can understand. But if it's just kind of like, well, this other thing
that's kind of
does
tough
this.
too, because I feel like I haven't heard that. So like I never haven't heard people like cherry pick or nitpick certain parts of Hunter x Hunter and like say they like it in other shows. I'm sure like you've heard it. But because I haven't experienced it, it's kind of like weird because I feel like in that if they're doing that, the metric there would be like when you're comparing it to other shonen. So it's like you're just saying like it's not really about best anime of all time at that point. You're just saying like I don't know what's the better shonen or shonen elements or like I don't know, like because if you're already saying it's the best anime of all time, then at that point it shouldn't even matter what's the best. Like I don't know, it becomes a non-issue because you're already saying it's the best anime.
And I've seen that a lot too much where I think people stay in the genres too much. They'll be like, well, it's the best this of all time, the best this. And it's like,
are the people that are saying that, is that holding it back from being the best anime for them because Naruto does the one fight better?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's their thing is like they had this connection to Naruto or Bleach or like One Piece in a way that makes them realize that they don't appreciate Hunter x Hunter as much. But then also I do see the opposite where people will be like, well, these battle shonen, they all have this like this plot hole and Hunter x Hunter doesn't have plot holes or like these series have bad power systems, but Hunter x Hunter does this. And it kind of is like, it's valid. But on one hand, I'm just kind of like, okay, but like, how about just like keeping it to the show kind of like specific? Like what are the good and bad?
Well, because in that regard, then they're not seeing it as like, its own story.
Yeah.
They're seeing it as another shonen and how it just stacks up. So like I guess if your mindset in that regard is like, well, I only watch shonen anime and like here what I prioritize is these things, then I guess that's a fair comparison, but then you can't treat it as its own story.
And I've seen a lot of like that kind of comes around where like people will hold certain series back from being considered the best of all time based on their demographic or subgenre. Like we've seen that a lot when we were talking to Colleen about like shoujos, when people were like, oh, it's like the best rom-com or it's the best romance or the best shoujo. And it's kind of like, okay, how about like just the best in general? Like, why could you not consider one of those things on the same level as other series,
Yeah. I mean, in a way, they could just be trying to like, maybe they just don't think it's the best, but they know that at least in that category, they want to give it some form of praise. So that's the way of kind of just saying, hey, I do think this is the best, at least in this regard,
And that's where I think it kind of gets kind of frustrating when people have this idea of what they think should be the best. And sometimes I don't think they follow their heart on what they think is the best. Like most recently, we have the big discussion with, when Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was temporarily displaced as the top one by Kaguya-sama. And people are like, well, it's not even like the best rom-com. Like, how is a rom-com the top one? And it's like, why are you looking down on a rom-com? It's just because Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood feels more serious to you, and that feels more deserving conceptually of a top one position.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, in terms of not like them saying that, but just like, you know, them not considering, because I feel like at that point they're not really factoring in like how the show handles, you know, the medium and the animation and the things that it does that are interesting and stand out and does it well. So, you know, it doesn't really matter that it's a rom-com. It's kind of like how its story, whatever it was, like engaged people. So yeah, like, because then I don't know, I feel like like bringing it up to our earlier point about how if you wanted an anime that is like kind of like the best, like easy to recommend, like representative of everything anime has, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the easier recommendation, being the top one.
Yeah.
Versus like a Kaguya-sama season 3, where it's like just one part of the show that was really, really good. So I guess like if they were seeing like top one, like, okay, this was like the representative anime and now it was knocked down by something that's like only one part of it, how can I, you know, how can
but what
I
if they're just talking in general? What if they're just talking like series to series comparison?
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't see an issue with the rom-com being top one.
And I agree, but I think some people have a weird beef with the idea of something that is either aimed at kids, comedy, romance, or like a slice of life being higher than serious series.
Yeah.
Quote unquote serious.
Yeah. Yeah, because they because it doesn't fit what their view of what that comes down to. It doesn't fit their view of what they think the best anime is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Where if they think it's supposed to be something serious, then obviously, you know, it doesn't fall into that if it's like comedy or rom-com.
Yeah. Quick hi to Rebel Panda. Thanks for showing up.
Like, I'm sure like people might have issues if Monogatari was like top one.
They would, but then they also wouldn't. Like, people would have different issues, but I think people consider Monogatari quote unquote serious enough to justify that position. You know?
I get you. But like,
and I think that's
top one. Like,
that would be interesting to see. I think a lot of people would defend it, but I think it would also just be interesting to see like what issues people would have with that placement overall.
I mean, I don't know. I've always thought like the best shows have a little bit of everything, you know, a little bit of rom-com, a little bit of serious, like obviously some seriousness to the story, comedy, you know, those are always like I think if a show can have like all of that, for me, that pretty much, you know, would be great. You know, that would be I think like if it has all of that and does it really well, I think that deserves like being top one. But I guess the issue is when it only leans heavily into only one aspect of that, and that's I think what people take issue, because then they're more okay with it if like, okay, it had a little something for everybody.
Yeah, and that makes sense too. Amethyst brought up an interesting point that Kaguya getting first was highly sequel effect, though. I think Spy Family getting high was more impressive. Just like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, it touches on a lot of elements really well, and it's easy to recommend. And that's a good point too. Like, Spy Family's done really well really recently, and it's been like the first season of it, so it's, you know, no sequel.
Kind of crazy that Cyberpunk Edge Runners is already in the top 50.
Yeah, that's kind of cool to see. I think Cyberpunk, you know, we might, you know, foreshadowing, we might talk about that at a later date, but I think Cyberpunk Edge Runners is going to be like a new go-to one core recommended series.
Okay.
You know, before it gets the backlash from getting overrated and like whatever. But like, you know, now that it's been out for like 5 days, I think it's good.
I think one core series are just really impressive in general. So
if they can pull anything off very well in one core, they should be recommended as much as possible. Like, that's why I was really impressed with Odd Taxi. I don't know if it's in the top 50 anymore, but
I will check. Come on here.
I think Odd Taxi is like does a lot of, what is it?
44.
Still in. We got it.
It's like right above Trust and Betrayal.
Take that, angst. I'm sorry. Got to do it tonight. But I think Odd Taxi is another great one that works very well. It does a lot of different things, and it's an easy recommendation. Do I think it's the best of all time? I don't know, but I think it should be in a very easy recommendation conversation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely see that because it's, you know, it's so like, it's so accessible.
Do I have it above B-stars at this
All you need to
point?
do is watch 11 episodes and you're done.
Isn't it 13 episodes?
Sorry, was it?
Close enough.
I'm sorry. Maybe
Yeah,
it is
close enough.
Whoops.
Same point
Whoops.
applies.
Why did I think it was 11?
Because one of the ones we're talking about was
Oh, you know why? I was thinking of Tatami Galaxy.
yeah, that one also does a lot in 11
Also
episodes.
a lot in one core.
Yeah. So Megumin said, I'm realizing now that what feels like the best anime of all time in my mind is the one that is the least flawed and stays consistently great throughout, which is an interesting pick. Like, I think I think that's a good reasoning behind it. What have you heard of the peaks versus consistency debates, or have you been kind of?
I have. I feel like I've had enough conversations now where I feel like I can context clues figure out what that is, but I haven't heard it. So I'm guessing it's like when a show has like a ton of peaks and then like it dips, you know, versus a show just being just solid all the way throughout. Like it didn't ever dip, but it didn't also have any high peaks. It was just straight consistency.
Yeah, I guess like which do you value? Like this has been like okay, this kind of a meme. It's like, would you rather something that's like, I don't know, six?
Oh no, I've heard this.
Yes, no, you've heard it. Okay,
but yeah, I've heard like some of this, you know.
Yeah.
So,
like so you kind of get the
6 out
point.
of 10
and dips, and then 10 out of 10 peaks versus 8 out of 10 consistency.
Oh, great.
It kind of makes me want to have. It's kind of like.
I mean, it's super interesting.
It's an interesting thing to conceptualize, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, nah, I gotta
like,
check out.
It's interesting to conceptualize, to like do as a joke and like as an example.
Yeah.
Why to then seriously break down anime like that, like for everything you watch,
It gets a bit too robotic. It gets a bit too much, and I'm not a math person, so I can't do it that well.
Me either.
Yeah, this is it. The funniest is when people point out, they're like 2 out of 10 peaks with 8 out of 10 consistently with 7 out of 10 writing and 4 out of 10 enjoyment. And so people will say this and then they'll be like, I love One Piece. or something.
Just give me an example of that. What is something with 2 out of 10 peaks, 8 out of 10 consistency, 7 out of 10 writing, and 4 out of 10 enjoyment? What is that? What embodies that?
If we're talking, maybe this is like Fire Force or Black Clover.
Okay. All right.
Now we can see it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
1
fans.
out of 10 screams.
Sorry, guys. No, but that's like the funny one where it's like 10 out of 10 peaks, 8 out of 10 consistency, 7 out of 10 writing, and 4 out of 10 enjoyment, which is like, you'd like just change the numbers and then people will just like pick the same shows. And then it's really funny. Shut the... Yeah. Someone said, Moosgard said Steins Gate. It's like, no, shut the fuck up. No.
No. Steins Gate has really good peaks.
Has 4 out of 10 enjoyment though.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really enjoying it.
4 out of 10 enjoyment.
Made up for it. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd like some high tier peaks. You know, those are good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always funny to see what people value the most, and then half the time it's just like whatever I want, like whatever I enjoy.
How can the writing be lower than the consistency and the peaks when the writing has to do with the consistency?
You're putting too much thought into it. I feel so bad.
You're getting into the weeds. Like,
no,
don't. A joke. We're moving on. It was a meme. It's like,
but I feel bad because it's like, because everyone sees this and then they try and figure it out, and you're trying to do. It's like, no, there's no right answer at the end of the tunnel.
No, that's how they get you. That's how they drag you in. You can't actually like engage with it.
You're like actually doing the math behind the scenes, and you're like, it doesn't add up.
The algorithm is just showing up in front of me. I agree with this.
I agree. Steins Gate Zero had high peaks, but not as good story as the original. I agree.
There you go. Steins Gate better.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Actually, I do have a question about this one. Going back to this is what started this off.
Going back to the best anime of all time in my mind is the one that is the least flawed and stays consistently great throughout.
Wouldn't you? You wouldn't even agree with this because like is there an anime that you consider like that had flaws but not as many, and you were mostly like cool with how consistent it was? Because
Um,
you don't look at it like that, right? Or you do?
Not really. Like, I guess if I think
Because
it,
that
what
goes more into the technical side of it.
I guess the least flawed or the like most consistent series I've seen is Haikyuu. Like, I
Okay.
think Haikyuu is the most consistent, even with the latest seasons that people had some beef with. Like, I think that series from like beginning to end was so consistently enjoyable that I don't think I've seen something else that has touched on that level, like
Yeah.
of consistency. But I do value that a lot, but I don't think that's not like something I value the most, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like
Is there?
when I'm thinking to Haikyuu, I'm thinking of like the moments that really stick out the most that are like the peaks of the series. I'm not thinking like, hey, that episode, that really random episode, that was consistently enjoyable, you know?
Was there anything that you ever watched? And I think I already know the answer. But was there anything you ever watched that you felt like had a good amount of flaws? Like you could see the flaws, but you still really liked it.
Mm, I think I do. I think I have one. Do you have one?
Maybe.
What is your
I don't know. I'm not too sure right now, but I just wanted to see because I felt like you might say that if you if it's your top one, or if you really liked it, then you either barely saw the flaws
Yeah.
anyway because it's a non-issue, or it didn't bother you. So
Yeah.
um,
I mean, I feel like the favorite of mine that has like the most flaws, quote unquote, is it's like maybe like Death Parade. Like there's some stuff in it that I just like don't vibe with as much, but
okay.
I think it's still like really great. And like people will bring up complaints and I'll be like, "Okay, fair, but I don't give a shit about that kind of thing."
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. I mean, my go-to example is always like Evangelion. So
You can just go in like full circle. You're like, "You know what? This one, I don't care.
yeah,
It's still
like
good. Still
I
peak."
see the flaws, they're there. It's like, but they don't bother me. It's just like, you know what? It all makes sense. So
Yeah.
that's it. I know, boring answer,
No, it's
cop
good.
out answer.
You can be every anime in
Mm,
one with Evangelion.
That's it. Just like throw that out. Your name, flaws,
So
and it ruined it
only
for me.
been written
It
by
ruined it for
me.
me.
No.
um, but yeah. Now, last question, I guess. Weeb starter pack, valid or not valid?
Sorry.
The elitist Weeb starter pack.
Should we find that? Wait, in
Yeah,
the
I think we
meantime,
should.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing. When someone says they have a problem with your favorites, just tell them that's a personal problem and gaslight into thinking them that they're wrong.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
That's kind of toxic, but I think it's
But
the
kind
move.
of but no, that's what we call a sigma male move. That's based.
Sigma male grind set.
I'm calling that based. Okay, I got the elitist starter pack. That one, no, someone edited it. It's wrong. No, where'd this get? They edited Sword Art Online onto it,
They
so it's ruined.
defiled the sacredness of it.
Yeah, it's gone. I need to find it. Um, I'm gonna find the image and then we can share it. It's not. It's not it. Where's the elitist starter pack? Is this the full one? This isn't an extended one. Do we want to see the extended elitist starter pack?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen just like at work. Yeah, if you don't like my favorites, it's a skill issue. I agree with the sentiment.
You can't understand it.
me like being like very accepting and then pulling this shit out of nowhere where I'm like, actually skill issue, get good. Okay.
All
Is
right,
this
here we go.
too tell me how this looks. Is this too small?
Yeah, you might need to zoom in a
Can
little
I
bit.
zoom in? Does this actually work?
Can you zoom in?
Did I zoom in and it worked? I think I zoomed in.
Yeah, you zoomed in. Can you zoom in one more time?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can see most of those.
Can we see it?
How is Hajime no Ippo on here?
I don't know. This is also an old anime starter pack.
Ping
Okay.
pong.
Some of these are
Ava.
not. I don't think some of these pass the. I don't know. Yeah, some of these are definitely not it. Okay. We got to ignore some of these. So this is like 6 of my top 10. I think that like my top 10 is here too. So we're all guilty here.
Yeah, like I think the reason like this was created in the first place is just because people were tired of the same people recommending the same favorites, or hearing about the same shows. I guess I don't know.
Or like
they
also
watched the shows, they didn't get it, then they were like, probably made fun of for not getting it, and then they were like, okay, fuck this.
Yeah, and I've had that with some shows that I think are like ass, but people are like, "You're too stupid to understand them," and then I'm like, "No, fuck you." So I go turn around and I'm like, "No," and I understand the resentment of like not liking something that a lot of people like, and then um, being kind of like shamed for not liking it. So then turning it around and being like, "Actually, you're an elitist and you suck ass." I totally get that.
Yeah.
I think this also comes from feeling like people that have no personal connections to these series are just putting it in their favorites to look good.
Yeah.
Which is another understandable sentiment.
I was definitely way too dumb to understand Lane, so I fall into that camp. Way too dumb.
No, I think
right here in the middle.
Well, I think it's like Lane is one of those things where like I don't know. It depends. Like it's like you can't. I think it's a very simple message about like the internet, and then it's just a lot of like ways of exploring it. So I could totally see how that would happen.
Yeah, I mean, I was also 13, so.
Okay, if you're 13, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I would not understand this stuff.
I haven't tried to rewatch it since then. How is Hunter x Hunter otaku pandering?
I don't know. Maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's Welcome to NHK. I don't know.
Oh.
So okay, I'm gonna tell you the shows that should not be on the elitist starter pack that I think are just like not valid because they were not on the original meme. Okay, so like Hunter x Hunter and JoJo, not elitist starter pack.
They don't make the cut. They're not elitist starter pack.
They're not.
Material.
No. The Trigun, no. I don't even know what that is.
That's Cromartie High School.
Oh, okay. Corey in the House is the best anime XD. Jesus. I like. Okay. But yeah, I mean, like these memes are everywhere.
Was Porco Rosso in the original one?
No, it was not. But good. Porco Rosso is my favorite anime film too. You are incriminated. They just took this from your favorites.
They literally were like, "Yeah, this guy.
We're gonna just build it off of his top 10."
Yeah.
Where is the original though?
Oh, I see Gunbuster on there.
Yeah, Gunbuster can fit. I think this is a new one. I've seen a lot of. Okay, I found it. I found the original one, guys. We're switching gears because this one has too many anime on it, so we got to switch gears. Stop. Okay, we go. I found so many elitist starter packs. Actually, this is very interesting. So, their elitism is not a one size fits all kind of situation. Okay. So here is the elitist starter pack we all know and love.
Here we go.
This is it. This is the OG. So we got.
And you finally watched Angel's Egg, so.
I did. Cracked open the Angel's Egg. Okay. We got Evangelion, Tatami, Technolize, Ergo Proxy, Monster, Hanabe Renmei. Fuck, I've said that. I've said I've watched 500 shows. It's awful. It's over now.
Is it if you've watched Habane Renmei, you've watched 500 shows? Is that what
I think it's like the stuff people say. Like this stuff.
This is an indicator if you've watched 500 shows.
Yeah, if you said that, you're incriminated. So I'm incriminated. Got Ghost in the Shell, Kaiba, Welcome to NHK, Angel's Egg, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, the big one, and Lane. Yeah, so it's very incriminating. I got 3 10s here, so it's not looking good for me.
I only see myself twice in here, so I'm good.
Which one are you? Me and Genesis Evangelion
and Ava a 10, and I gave Tatami Galaxy a 10.
Okay.
So that's it. I'm clear.
I got Tatami Galaxy, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and Monster. Everything else, it's fine.
All right, we're good.
We're safe.
Yeah, I still haven't watched Ergo Proxy or Habane Renmei or Technolize.
I gotta see those.
NHK is due for a rewatch, and Ghost in the Shell was okay.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch it because there's no way I like Angel's Egg more than Ghost in the Shell. There's no way. But I have it higher, but like there's no way. I gotta rewatch I gotta rewatch Ghost in the Shell and fix my brain.
How did you like Angel's Egg?
I did. I don't love it. I think it's good, but it's like a visual marvel. I think it's like really fun to like watch, but I don't think I don't like connect with it that much, but I do like the different interpretations. So
did you feel like you were missing something when
no.
When you watched it and you weren't connecting with it, and other people have like praised it like crazy?
I think the story itself is very clear cut on like what happens. It's just a matter of like, what do you make of the story? And I understood what other people made of the story, and I could see a lot of like themes in it that I could like say, oh, this is actually really cool. But it still didn't really hit like that much where I'm like, yo, this changed my life, which is fine.
Gotcha.
I still think it's good. I think it's worth watching. And it's like really like, I don't know. There are some scenes where I'm watching them. I'm like, yo, this looks so cool. This is so cool looking. So
really, you just have to watch it to appreciate it being like a visual marvel. And
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So kind of for the experience.
Yeah. Tra is incriminating themselves. Angst has 2 of its top 5. Muscart, this is just your favorites list. Just incriminating.
I think
Amethyst has seen 3 of these. So
yeah. I think the real challenge, which I think Amethyst might have already gotten in the bag, is to be on the stream and not have any of these in your top 10.
We could probably find them. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. But I think we've all moved beyond the idea that like these are objectively the best shows. Like if we had issues with these, no one would really be like, I mean, some people might be like, okay, you're a dumbass, but it's also like, no, maybe it should have just been better.
Yeah. And also like, I don't know. There's like a lot of good, because a lot of these shows are now a lot older, and like, there's just a lot of good shows that have come out in recent years that, are just as fun or enjoyable. Maybe not as deep, but
Yeah. I wonder what the attitude, like, I wonder what the real like modern elitism looks like,
Yeah.
If that makes sense, it's like a question.
Yeah. Muska Art says it's like VNs or shonen now. Is elitism really shonen now?
Well, it might be like different types, like
shonen
older ones.
High art.
It's like the Bleach stuff where like people are saying like people have gone from calling Bleach trash to now they're like, you didn't get it because it's referencing Nietzsche or something.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. It is kind of cool to see something go full circle and say you didn't get it.
Yeah. Like it went through the gamut of, it's not that deep. Now it's like, no, it always was deep.
Yeah. I kind of like it. I like going full circle and just being like, you actually don't understand it.
Yeah.
And then I think Sunny Boy is going to be on the new one. Sunny Boy will definitely be on the new pretentious Weeb starter pack. Definitely.
I feel like this is going to be like the new, remember when like the conversation about like what's the new gen shonen, what's like the next iteration?
New gen
so it's
elitist
like, what's
starter
the new
pack?
Gen elitist pretentious Weeb starter pack? Okay, we got Sunny Boy, apparently Chainsaw Man, Violet Evergarden.
I could see a bunch of Chinese BL that no one has seen but are high on Mao.
Hey,
I like that.
The animation
that's very true.
Lit.
Yeah, I could see that. I can see it. Yeah, I could definitely see it.
And I can see, pack mentality shonen fans are far more venomous and judgy than LOGH fans now.
That's really true. I feel like, I think Legend of the Galactic Heroes fans have got, it's like, it used to be certain people in the community, but now it's kind of like an unpopular opinion, not an unpopular opinion, but an unpopular way of looking at it to say this is objectively the best.
Yeah, because I feel like Legend of Galactic Heroes like made the fans like now want everything to have either as much depth or as much substance, or just wanted more from anime, and then like they would look down on it. And whereas shonen fans, I assume, are engaging with it the exact opposite way, where it's more about just the highs, the peaks,
the peak fictions,
the action.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to take a funny screenshot of us because I think this is just really funny. Yeah, I think it's funny. It could be like really makes you think. Like just this like entire screenshot.
Just like us looking at the starter pack, or
yeah, I got it. We're good. I got him.
That's it. If you look at it this way, and like how it's on screen, and then right above it, it just says best anime.
That's what's so funny.
It's just like best anime right here.
We got him.
Let me look puzzled.
Wait, I have to take in 1 second. 1 second. It's just like that's gonna be our takeaway.
Yeah.
No one knows.
We really went full circle. It's like, oh, what is best anime? It's everything in the starter pack.
We went from top 10 on Mal to elitist starter pack that we had to look up.
That's it, full circle.
But this does bring up an interesting question that every time Eggs talks, it's just so funny. MCU and My Hero fans both have to defend twerking in their series at the moment. I'm so glad I am not them right now.
I can't believe that's like happening simultaneously in the same timeline. Just both right now. Literally so on the Twitter timeline.
It is true that that's just both happening. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Art imitates life, I guess.
Yeah, who knew?
Should we use this as our transition into a future plan?
Are you talking about what I think you're talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Okay, so should I explain the background of our future project idea that we need everyone's help with?
I think you should.
Okay, as long as my internet won't give out.
If you're worried about the internet, I can do it. But
okay, you do half of it. Okay, you do the important stuff, and then I'll go.
Okay. All right. What was the important stuff again?
Okay, I will do the background art. I'll do the backstory. I'll do the lore to this idea. Yeah. Okay, so essentially, we have a project that we want Just Weebs community to help with that we think would be pretty cool, and it's kind of a kind of springboard going off of what do you think is like the best anime, but it's a bit different. So context for this, it was I was going on Twitter as I do from time to time, and I saw the usual Demon Slayer clip going around with people saying like, oh, this is like the best animation of all time. And then a bunch of people in the comments being like, no, this is shit. So the usual Demon Slayer discourse where people are very extreme and somehow both sides are equally frustrating. In the comments, though, I saw someone try and defend the Demon Slayer episode. And this is from like the season 2 fight for everyone's context. Yeah. Someone was like, I'm not like huge on Demon Slayer, but it's the highest rated anime episode on IMDb. So I'm not going to disrespect something that so many people find to be the best. And this stood out for 2 reasons. One, it's not actually the highest episode on IMDb of anime. There's like 5 Attack on Titan episodes above it. So that was incorrect. But also because of the idea of having the highest rated anime episodes, which is a feature that IMDb has for all of their episodes, but it's not something that my anime list has. So we thought of the idea of trying to do a huge survey to try and find out what the community thinks is the best anime episode of all time.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, not next week, but the week after, because we're not going to have a live stream in 2 weeks. And that week, we're going to put out a survey, and then if you can spread it around, trying to get all of the community input for what you consider your top 10 best anime episodes. And then from that, we will compile all of those. So we want to do this as scientifically as possible.
Statistically.
Yeah,
and scientifically.
And scientifically as possible. So we can get like everybody's input, and then from there, we'll like pare it down and then do voting based on that to try to come to kind of a consensus as to what are the, I guess, top 10 best anime episodes of all time.
Yeah, I think
And
we're
then we'll
gonna
go from
do. If we had a long list, we would include it. But I guess focusing on the top 10 would be.
Yeah,
That would be
it
good.
can be longer, but at least that we can get the essentially the top 10 as a frame of reference that we can point to and be like, well, these are the
Yeah.
top 10 best anime episodes of all time.
Yeah.
As voted by our community. So.
Muscard brought up that actually Mal does have episode rankings now.
Oh yeah.
But they don't think it's all episodes, so just show by show.
Oh.
So I think that's also like they don't have like a centralized rating system too of like, you know, everyone rating this stuff. I think it's also a lot more like recency bias. So like we have ideas in place to try and make it so it's as balanced as possible. So, you know, certain limitations as in like you can only do one episode per like series, you know. So
Yeah.
don't do like 10 episodes from the same series. So
Yeah.
and we also go ahead.
No, we'll just include that. We'll like probably put that in the rules or whatever for the survey. Like, because we're gonna go through them anyway, so we would take it out. You know, if you know it's like too repetitive from like if it's too many from the same series.
Yeah, so we're gonna have like different criteria and stuff, and we're gonna try and make it as, you know, we're gonna release all of the rules when we like note it down. But essentially, like the reason we're saying this is we want to just get a good sense of like what our community and hopefully like the larger community values as like the best episode, but also to try and make it as least popularity contesty as possible. So we'll reveal more details later on, but if anyone has any ideas for how they think we should run it, like just send them our way, because we want this to be kind of like a multiple week-long project, you know, that we'll report on in podcasts, but also just be doing like behind the scenes work too.
Yeah, we're gonna take our time with it. It's probably gonna be 2 rounds of surveys and maybe 2 podcasts, or maybe one final results podcast. One or the other. So we'll probably go either 1 round as a podcast and then final results. So probably end of October would be like the aim. So yeah.
So, but everyone here hears it first, and that's what we're gonna do.
That's the inside scoop.
That's the tea. That's the tea, behind the scenes tea.
Yeah. And now that you brought that up about IMDb and not wanting to disrespect what other people have had the consensus of, you know, rating as, you know, so high, do you encourage disrespecting things that have been rated so high?
I definitely do encourage disrespecting things that are really high. Just as like the thought process, it's like I'm not going to disrespect something a lot of people have rated highly. It's like what I will. So that's what I'm here for. Professional hater
that's
king.
It. We gotta do it. We gotta.
Funny enough, if people want to see the list from IMDb, I can reveal this in another episode, because we could do our list based on the community versus the IMDb list. Because I went through and I noted like the top 50 anime episodes on IMDb, and it's an interesting list. I'm like it's a lot of good and bad and unsuspected ones. So
like it's questionable enough that you're just like, yeah, we need to make our own list.
Yeah, I think it's both questionable, but also agreeable enough that some people will be like, you know what, this is actually really good. But other people will be like, this is dog shit. We need to start over and try again.
Okay. So that's the initiative. That's why we're going to do it.
So no one else go through and look through the IMDb and make a list of the top 50. I think most people were sane enough not to do that, but like, don't do it, because I did it. So,
you know,
I got the info.
Okay. I mean, some people might now go do it because you said it.
I know, because I said don't do it. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's like me telling you, hey, don't go through my MAL and look at my scores before the pod, and then you do.
I will do it. Yeah.
Right,
so.
And,
Yeah. So this is our big project. Let us know what you guys think about it.
Yeah, let us know in the comments, or just, you know, reach out to us on Twitter. Like the episode if you liked it. And
I think it's the best episode of all time, featuring Just Weebs Elitist Starter Pack pulled from. What if we did that, but we edited our own episodes over the anime, so it's like our own thumbnail and the spot of like.
Oh, okay, we could do that.
That would be funny.
And subscribe if you haven't already. And that's it. We're Just Weebs. And that's the end of the episode. That's the end.
Thanks for everyone who joined in and participated.
of all time. Just Weebs. I'm just killing time here. Hold on one second. No, but that's it. Thanks, guys, for
Thanks,
joining
everyone.
us. Stay tuned. We will have an episode out next Sunday. That's the plan. So we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.
Bye.